Hey, everybody, it's the Tuesday Night Music Show, and I'm not Brian S. Red. I'm Jay Brannon. That's right. I'm going to be hosting tonight. I've got my esteemed cast member, of course, production. I've got Howie Darkstar. Howie, how are you tonight?
Doing good.
Looking down on the screen underneath me, I've got my comrade in arms from Boston, Mr. John Colley. John, how's life treating you?
Very good, very good.
Over here to John's left, looking at my screen, we've got Matt Ames coming from the Carolina region of the country. Matt, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, it just is.
Awesome. And of course, from the Great White North, probably freezing, 30 below zero, DJ Aaron, there's the man right there. What's up, buddy?
Yeah.
How you guys doing? Good to see you.
Good. Well, we're going to be talking music. We're going to be talking all sorts of stuff, but we couldn't do that without the fine sponsors like DJ Event Planner. Underneath the description in our video, you'll see blue tags that'll take you directly to all of our sponsors. So you want to make sure you check those out. They support our show, and we hope that you support us the way you do by listening and going to our sponsors. So we got a lot of cool sponsors, different aspects of the industry. Check them out if you would. But it just wouldn't be a show if I didn't go down to my road dog. Whoops, hold on. Road dog.
We get something there.
And we're going to do Boston John's record roundup. So we're going to start with John. We're going to go through each of us on the panel. We're going to give you an album, record, CD, song, artist that we think you should know about, and a particular one that we think you should look at purchasing. So, John, where you got us this week?
Well, for our chronological watchers, they know last week I started with the birth of hip hop. I had Kool Moe Dee as a record. So I went with the second wave of hip hop that came in around 87, 88. Now, the one I wanted to show, I never bought on vinyl, but I had it on cassette. And this is a vinyl show, so I'm going to have to just go with the next best thing. I pulled up Mr. Eazy-E, which I did get on vinyl. Okay.
Good pick.
Boys in the Hood, Easy does it. You know, there are clean versions of these. This is kind of a new style of rap that came along, stemming from NWA from California.
Kind of gangster, let's be honest. It's
little gangster. But there are many that think that this is where hip hop actually began, and that the earlier stuff was just like a practice run. So, but I tend to go back to it's Sugar Hill, it's Grandmaster Flash.
Sugar Hill,
That's the starting. That's the starting gun.
And then walked out of the water land. This was like up the street. Yeah.
This was a very urban. But if you have the right crowd, you should know who Ice Cube is. You should know who Eazy-E is. Sadly, he had passed away. He hang with some undeserving young ladies that got him in trouble. And
I'm sure he had something to do with that a little
bit. Yeah. Dr. Dre, of course, came from this MC Ren, not quite as popular, but there's some bangers. I mean, it's stuff that people know. I mean, I went so far as to BPM tag them, 92, 90s. They're all low R&B beats. We Want Easy, the big one, which was actually directly lifted from We Want Bootsy, which was a Bootsy Collins track originally.
Yeah, a lot of samples on that.
A lot of samples, a lot of stuff. And this was really when hip hop kind of took the turn, and you had to be careful and listen to versions before you play them, because sometimes the content can be a little shocking.
I distinctly remember going to the Strawberry Records on Route 1 in Saugus and buying the single for 100 miles and running.
We get the little strawberries a little bit.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. Yeah. Same place. Nice. And I bought it in 89, 90. And it was the NWA clean version of 100 miles and running, and driving around the Saugus, Melrose, Malden area, blasting that in my Golf GT. I didn't look good, but hey.
So for the right crowd, it works, and this is the stuff that now is probably going to make the comeback as new rap continues to progressively get worse and worse.
Yeah, but don't call it a comeback.
Well, you want to go LL Cool J? We can go there too, Matt. Speaking of which, Matt, what do you got this week?
You know what Mama said.
Oh yeah, after all of that tough and rough gangster rap, I had to go with one of the illest of them all, Sir Elton John.
Oh, there we go.
Straight up.
Says, "Don't shoot me. I'm only the piano player."
Great album.
And this one has two, probably more than two big hits on it. But as far as things that are still heavy in rotation today, Daniel on side 1 and Crocodile Rock on side 2. So this is a good get, and I managed to pick it up for like $8 at my local record shop. So
wow. We actually have a music venue called Crocodile Rock in our area.
Sweet.
They bring in all the big bands. Yeah, that's a great pick.
His strength in the early 70s can't be overstated. When he first played the Troubadour, fun fact, he was introduced at his first show at the Troubadour in LA. James Taylor introduced him, and in the crowd was everybody from back in the day. Harry Nilsson was there, Carole King was there, obviously James Taylor was there. It was just a who's who of people, because they had heard about Elton John, because I think he'd already had 2 albums come out. Because from like 69 or 70 to like 75, Elton would put 1 to 2 albums out a year. Because they weren't, there's 4 or 5 songs, 6, 7 songs on an album. Put them out tour, put them out tour. So it was prime time for Elton, and that's a great example of his early work.
Yeah.
Aaron, what do you got for us from the Great White North?
Great White North. I'm going to play it a little bit safe for everybody today, and I'm going to take you back in with the Eagles. Eagles. Hotel California. Eagles.
Nice. It's a classic.
Eagles, not the Eagles. Yeah,
I know, and I'm guilty of saying the Eagles. I know. Brian hates it.
Definitely not the Eagles of death metal.
But you know what? I can say they are the Eagles, because they do definitely fly high. They're one of my favorite bands of all time. And now that we are progressing out of the wedding season, I think I got a half a dozen left. I'm looking forward to changing up gears and looking for albums like this that I can play more in like the dive bar atmosphere and the club stuff. If I'm playing to an older crowd, maybe after work stuff, I'm looking to pick some stuff up in the late fall, early winter. And I'll definitely be like Life in the Fast Lane. I'm going to be picking up some of the other stuff that are on that album, and I'll definitely be playing it for that type of a crowd now that the wedding stuff is kind of starting to wrap up for the year.
Yeah, that's a great example of when something like that really comes in strong. That's a strong pick. That's absolutely one of the best-selling albums of all time. I believe it's up there with Back in Black and a few other albums, but I'm pretty sure that's a diamond, which I think is 20 or 25 million sales. It becomes diamond rated.
I think so. And you can play pretty much anything off that album, like New Kid in Town. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go for the obvious, title track, but there's a lot in there.
No, it's
definitely a must buy.
Yep, 100%, 100%. Howie, what genre are you going to take us into this evening?
I am going to take us to what is called New Wave, and it was my last year at Max's Kansas City, and the band is The Cars. Now I have all their albums.
617 Love right there.
But I could not resist buying the greatest hits. I mean, it's at my record store that we have here. Tuesdays is half price, so I got this for $3.
No way!
Just what I needed. Since You Were Gone, Good Times. Drive, Tonight Comes, Let's Go, Magic, and Shake It Up. I mean,
so good.
My God,
all bangers.
All great tracks.
The whole thing is bangers, and it's nice that I was able to take that. Because when you purchase music, it's variable bit rate. But I was able to rip this myself into lossless,
constant bit rate.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the big thing for me. And, I rarely use it, like during a wedding dance thing, but it's really good for cocktail hour to pick a few out of there.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Songs are catchy. The production is awesome. And it's upbeat and fun stuff, and you don't have to worry about lyrics or content.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, no, there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. It's funny because I had an album already in place. You know what? I'm going to save the one that I was just going to switch to for next week. So I'm going to go back to the one I have in place. And this is an album that is specific to a certain genre, but it's not. And what I mean by that is technically this is a Southern rock album, but it's very jazzy. It's so jazzy. There's a cover of Stormy Monday on it, which you've heard from Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, Sarah Vaughan, Billie Holiday. Like, that's as jazz as it gets. The band is the Allman Brothers, And the album is one of the greatest live albums I've ever bought.
I knew it.
And it's live at the Fillmore East.
Oh, my God.
Now, here's the funniest part about this, Howie. I don't know if you remember this the way I do. I had this album. It's a 2-album set.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to guess, Howie, how many songs are on this album?
I believe it's in the 40s.
No.
They might be doing the jam band thing a little bit for live.
They did the jam band thing a lot. The track listing as I have it here, I don't have the album with me, but the track listing as I have it here is Statesboro Blues, which is amazing.
Right.
Done Somebody Wrong, which is a little more jazz, a little more bluesy. Stormy Monday is the jazz classic. You Don't Love Me, which is definitely more bluesy. Hotlanta, which is a great Southern rock.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
In Memory of Elizabeth Reed, which when I've seen them live goes on for like half an hour.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's
that's a whole album side. Yes.
Well, but here's the thing: the last track listing on the album, a double album set, is Whipping Post, which is about 20 minutes. So the way it reads is there's only 7 songs on 2 pieces of vinyl.
That's incredible.
Which, if my memory serves, of the 2, I know one side is Elizabeth Reed. Like, that's literally one entire thing. And they jam very jazzy, bluesy, fusiony, but they're a Southern rock band that was famous for their first guitar player, Duane Allman, who died tragically, very young. And those of you who don't know who Duane Allman is, you probably know the song Layla by Derek and the Dominoes. Slide guitar on Layla is Duane Allman.
Yes.
And really want to go crazy. The Allman Brothers had a connection with a group out of Muscle Shoals, Alabama, which was a rhythm section in a studio. And there's a famous Hey Jude cover where Duane Allman does all the guitar work. And that's really where he became famous. And I believe it was for Otis Redding, who did Hey Jude. Wow. He did guitar and got Duane Allman from Muscle Shoals, where he was picking up some extra work. It's a specific sound and style of music, but if you're playing to an older crowd who's into it, you are going to win fans listening to this kind of music. And I specifically didn't want to give you, here's the new Dua Lipa, you got to get it.
Everybody knows about her.
Yeah, if you're under, I dare say, if you're under 50, the Allman Brothers, you may know Ramblin' Man, and that's where it ends. But they have an incredible catalog. So don't be afraid to go outside of your comfort zone sometimes and look at music, because part of being a DJ is playing to those people in front of you. They don't all want to hear Dua Lipa. They don't all want to hear, whatever's the new thing. There might be people there that have big paychecks in their pocket going, man, I wish you'd play Statesboro Blues, and you've got it. Yeah. You're a superstar. You always have more bullets than you need. That's my logic. No one goes hunting with one bullet. So
I need to get that one, Jay, because I have a wedding in Statesboro, Georgia next month.
Oh,
perfect. That's a must play.
That's a must play.
You got to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's Atlanta, Georgia. And if for you, I would highly recommend, if you don't have any Little Feat albums, make sure you get Atlanta. Because if you do that piano rip and you got people over 45, 50 in that crowd, they are flip out when they hear Lowell George start singing. And we can talk more about that off air, but so John, thank you very much. I mean, Road Dog, whoops, hold on.
Road Dog.
Great record roundup. If you have any comments or records that we should be checking out, give it to us down in the comments. We really appreciate it, because it's a constant learning process. It's, I did a wedding 3 days ago and I played 2 songs by Rancid. In my entire career as a DJ, I've never played Rancid. I have it, but I've never played it at a wedding. But I played 2 of them at a wedding the other night because the groom likes Rancid and they fit. And here's a quick tip. I played Ruby Soho and Time Bomb. And I followed Time Bomb with John Denver, Country Road, Take Me Home.
What? Wow.
It was the end of the night. And what I did was I echoed out of Time Bomb. So I killed the volume and had that the little acoustic guitar comes in, and all of a sudden you hear John Denver start singing, and they made a big circle. They all started freaking out and singing. I was like,
attaboy.
So I've never ended a wedding with Country Road, Take Me Home by John Denver. I'll definitely do it again because it was a banger for
it. Goes over.
A lot of power. A lot of power in that song.
Weddings are a constant thing. Speaking of which, I want to go around the room real quick and just get your sense of a few things. I got 3 kind of topics tonight. Topic 1, how has 2023 been compared to 2022? Not only the number of events you've done, but how has kind of the flow been? How are the clients? Are they different? Is it more stressful, less stressful? Is it new challenges? Things like that. And now that we're sort of coming in, this show's being shot the end of September. As we come into October, which has historically been a busy wedding month, party month for DJs, what are you thinking after October into the holiday season? Are you going to be making any purchases before the end of year? Or as I like to look at it, do you want to pay the taxes on it? Or do you want to get the write-off? Because a lot of DJs at the end of the year that I know had a good year and they don't want to just pay it. They'd like to, bring up their inventory a little bit. So let's start with Aaron. Aaron's been super busy this year. So I don't know if the first question about 2022 to 2023 makes sense to him. Curious, in Canada, if you've seen a difference from last year to this year, and if you're looking at getting gear towards the end of the year.
Definitely. Like 2022 was our catch-up year from COVID. Once we got out of it, and we had so many weddings that were postponed. I had a few, that were booked almost 2 years before the pandemic finally pan out in 2022. So we played catch-up with a lot of weddings in 22. And going into 23, I did notice my numbers were down a little bit. But because I did so many weddings in 22, I got a lot of referrals into 23, which sustained me through. I thought I was going to be slower in 23 than I was. I mean, I'm down at least 10%.
Yeah. I think that's synonymous, by the way. I think everyone's feeling that.
10 to 15%, I believe everybody was at. There was a few guys in my area that did really well, and they grew. They're multi-ops, and they were able to grow. The majority of the people that I talked to in my market, they said the same as me, 10 to 15% less than last year. Things were a little bit slow. I was able to compensate with other types of events, festivals, and other things like that, concerts and things. So I was able to MC some stuff and kind of float through there. But yeah, the weddings were definitely down from that year to this year. And then your other question, do I plan on picking anything up this year? Absolutely. There's a lot of great gear that hit the market this year. I think 23 was a stellar year. If anybody's looking to upgrade, you hit it. This is the year for upgrades. I mean, what these controllers can do right now is absolutely incredible. I am looking, as you know, we've talked off air about this, and I've been kind of prodding and poking you for some information and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm happy to give it.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of great options right now. And I mean, it's Pioneer knocked out of the park this year. There's so much good gear from them this year. Yeah. And I mean, Denton kind of back on their heels a little bit, just a little bit reserved. And then out of nowhere, we have a piece of gear that we haven't really seen yet. Reloop's really put out a nice new piece of gear that's coming. And
there's a lot of manufacturers that are promoting stuff, and
tons.
From a manufacturing standpoint, we ran into a lot of stock issue because of the pandemic. And, even though you look back on it now, I mean, we started this whole chill experience after the show that's open to everyone. We have a chill room. It's discjockeynewstv.com/chill. We've been doing this now since February of 2020. So we've now surpassed, we're at 3.5 years we've been doing this.
Yes.
And you realize, even though that time has gone by quickly, the stock issues haven't, because The pandemic
100%.
really changed the way things were done. The cost of shipping, the availability. There was a huge fire in China. There's been a lot of things that have put us.
That was the end of it for me. There was have patience. Be patient with your retailers. Be patient with the manufacturers. Right now, I read about 3 or 4 different threads tonight on different DJ pages, and people complaining that they haven't got their gear. Guys, just be patient. I mean, there's nothing your retailer can do about it. They can't magically make your flex stand show up. I mean, just be patient, guys. It's coming, and I'm on a wait list for other stuff too. And yes, I'd rather buy new gear than pay the taxes. I'm with Jay on this one.
And I appreciate the comment about being patient. The reality is this: the business model is very simple. Just like us, we get a phone call. Someone wants us to go do an event. We're at least in a position to say, I will go on this date and do this event, and we're done. With manufacturing, the difference is they want to be able to sell every single person that wants something, the product. But if 100%. The product is in short supply and the demand gets high, nobody's holding back from anyone. It's just, it's just part of the deal. So I think everyone is trying their best, and I think you're going to see a marked difference towards the end of 2023 as far as availability goes for all manufacturers to get you equipment. 2024, I think, will be an entirely new game. We'll go back to the old days of, that's really cool. I like that. Let me get down to the store and buy it, come home. Because we became so kind of just, I can't even think of the word, but we were almost not brainwashed, but we got so accustomed to like phone releases and computer and, tablet releases. Mm-hmm. Here it is. And they've got 8 million of them. So everyone gets one. Not all manufacturers can afford to produce 8 million of something in hopes that 8 million people want it. Mm-hmm. You have to be realistic about projections. So,
absolutely.
But yeah, I'm looking forward. And again, off air, if you need anything, Aaron, by all means, hit me up. Happy to help you out. John, you've had a good year this year, I know. And if you can give us a correlation, maybe not even just what you've done, but let's say the Boston market, you're obviously in the greatest city on planet, Boston. So if,
Amen, brother. Amen.
If you have a sense of, talking to other DJs, it seems busier or slower, anything like that. Any thoughts on that?
Sure. Well, we've got the 2 branches of the business I'm in. We've got Sound City, which of course is Bill, and we've got 617 Events, which is weddings. So the wedding side is just as busy as it has been. Size-wise, they're not as big. There's only been a handful that have been more than 200 people, 300 people. Right. Most of them are smaller. They're still smaller scale. They're not coming in as fast and furious as they did in 22 when everyone was playing catch-up. Right. So for that side of it, the events are still happening, but the big productions are down. It's a smaller scale, smaller systems, less people. The corporate side, on the other hand, which was all just in Zoom meetings and Teams meetings, is now coming back to real life. But the people want to get together again, and they're flying into these conferences that I'm doing at all these different conference centers and hotels in Boston. The people are coming from everywhere, and those are starting to get larger and larger, and the facilities are bigger and bigger, and they want projection screens, and they want 25 mics, and and there's still some members that can't make it. We're still using the technology to bring everybody in, but those are now maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Where originally it was just like, we have this one gig, it's going to run 4 days. Now it's like, well, we've got concurrently running. You're setting up Monday, and then you're setting up Wednesday before you tear Monday down, and you're going into it. So the stuff's overlapping. So we're looking to just add people and get more bodies on, just because you have so many locations to cover. But it's been steady. I wouldn't say it's busier on the wedding side, but it is definitely busier on the corporate side. So I'm seeing that.
Which I think I've seen too. And
from now till the end of the year, I think myself, I've got 3 more weddings before, and they're all going to be like 100 people or less. And one's up in New Hampshire at like a ski resort type of thing. So that could be a big production that's coming up. But the other stuff, then it's corporate stream and right through till December, and it's nonstop like it was. And the quiet month for that is August, believe it or not. But then I do clubs and bar gigs too, so I pick up stuff on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights and keep it busy. So that's been the year. So the year's looking pretty good, and it just looks to get busier. So I'm excited about that out here in the greatest city on the planet.
Excellent. Now, are you concerned getting any new gear towards the end of the year, or are you good gear? And
there's always a possibility. I got my eye on a few things. So we've got the event that's happening in Boston in December. It's called Harvest to Sound. And that's going to be Burlington, Mass. So be looking on the Facebook and the interwebs. That should be the first week of December. Hopefully people aren't too busy. Usually runs 2 or 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And that'd be probably like the last chance to buy gear, like you say, for tax purposes. Like if you really have to pull the trigger on something, a lot of the vendors will be present as yourself. But you'll be able to grab something, and physically have it. And it won't just be promissory. You can actually get the unit, like you say, the days of going to the store and coming home with it instead of being on a 6-month waiting list. But
and even if you make a purchase at the time, you're getting the purchase locked in then.
You're getting it on the right calendar year.
If you had to wait 4 weeks and get it January 4th, you at least have got that write-off for the year before.
Right.
All right. Well, by the way, those of you that are listening don't know this, but those of you that are watching this realize now Mr. BSR himself has now joined us. So give me a moment, if I could, to catch Brian up to speed. Brian's been out doing what he should be doing instead of hanging out with us. The topic tonight, Brian, we're talking about is 2023 markedly slower or busier than 2022? And now that we get towards the end of the season, are you looking at any gear to make purchases on, maybe a big purchase, a little purchase, so as to take that money that might go to taxes and use it as a write-off for this year? We also went through Boston John's record roundup. We had Happy giving us the Cars' greatest hits.
Nice.
Aaron giving us Hotel California. John came in with an Eazy-E vinyl choice.
Excellent.
Matt Ames, give me a second. It'll come to me. Nope, it won't. Matt, what was your record?
He's not the.
Don't shoot me. I'm only the piano player.
Don't shoot me. And mine was the Allman Brothers live at Fillmore East. So just to get you on track.
Nice. And Aaron's Eagles.
Album.
Did Howie have one?
Howie did. He had the Cars' greatest hits.
Oh, Howie was Cars' greatest hits. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And Aaron did Eagles, Hotel California.
Okay. Got it.
So just to get you back on track with us, do you have an album? And then we'll go to you on the question, if that's okay.
No, but I can come up with something by the end of the show for a record if you really want one.
Okay. Do you want to tackle the question? I was going to go to Matt, then Howie.
No, Matt. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. You're not interrupting. I wanted to make sure you were still up to speed with things.
Thank you. I was getting the gist of it from John's.
Would John text you and say,
response,
this? Okay, well then,
hurry up, get in here.
Getting it more. He's shut off at the bar. Let me tell the bartender. No, the Mick, he's shut off. All right, let's go to Matt. Matt, so the question, very simply, compared to 2022, have you seen 2023 be slower, the same, busier? And as we get towards the end of the season, do you see yourself changing up any of your equipment and making any purchases specifically to get them onto the book for 2023? Go for it.
So it's been slower in parts compared to 2022, and that's mainly been the summer months. And I don't want to say necessarily that's something about this area, because I know some of the people I watch on YouTube, Jay Book, who's about an hour from me, he's had an eventful summer. Rick Webb, who's maybe about 2.5 hours from me, he's had a pretty eventful summer. But most of our weddings, or my weddings, really seem to be happening right now in the fall. So something I've noticed that couples seem to be looking into are maybe when venues cost less to rent, because it's not in those prime summer months in the quote unquote wedding season, even though fall is one. Things are usually a little less here because you're competing with college football, which is like a religion where I live.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah,
if
no,
you
that's a
have a
totally valid
wedding on the
point.
night of a high stakes game, you are having people leave your wedding early to go watch that game unless
Yeah.
you're projecting it. And then the other thing I've noticed is people are looking into alternate days now. I've done more Friday and Sunday type weddings this year than I have historically. So it has gotten busier now that we're kind of in the tail end of 2023 compared to last year, but I've had a slower summer. As far
By the way, I want to
gear,
interrupt just for a second, Matt. About 8 or 9 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, October was not a go-to month.
That's true.
And a lot of brides started thinking, oh, I'll get married in October.
Mhm.
October has been the busiest month on the West Coast. October's busier than July for weddings for the majority of DJs I know.
oh, wow.
I mean, you're talking, if you're doing 10 or 12 weddings in July, you might be doing 18 or 20 in October because everyone started thinking, oh, it's less expensive. And it actually went the other direction out here. Like no one offers a deal in October. It's
Right.
either the same price,
Interesting.
sometimes even a little more, because we don't have, even though college football is a thing out here to a certain extent, it just became a month of weddings.
Better temperatures, probably, right?
Own thing.
Yeah.
Temperature
Cooler.
Yeah.
You got to use fall colors. Amber lights became a
Yeah.
thing. Everyone wanted oranges. You got the gothy
Right.
couples that were close to Halloween. There was a lot of variables going on in the books that just made October a banner month to the point now where, like I said, in 10 years, the discount talk went away. I've got a wedding December 2nd at an outdoor venue this year, and I am absolutely shocked because it will be cold. Now, these numbers may not mean much to you guys, but when you're in Southern California and it's a 60-degree day and you're like, oh, this is nice, and then it's a 41-degree night and you're outside at a wedding, that's not a lot of fun. So even I'm kind of taken aback that I'm doing.
I'm not going to say anything.
I do. Well,
Me
not,
either.
I used to do a tree lighting in November. I've done the last 3 years at the Marine base at Camp Pendleton out here for about 8,000 people. And it was their Christmas tree lighting. And it was always the Saturday before Black Friday. Always. And I am booked this year on a wedding, so I'm not doing it. But it's really funny to me because I'd done it 3 years in a row. The last 2 years, I wore a full wool pea coat and had a scarf because it's down by the water. So it's windy off the water. And it's about 42, 43 degrees. Now, Aaron, I realize in Canada that's a warm day you wear shorts because I talked.
It's a warm day in June. Yeah.
But when you're not used to it, the thing that bothers me the
I get
most
it.
is these. Because
Yeah.
when these start to get a little tingly, you're on a trackpad on your computer like, I can't feel it.
California
So-
cold's different.
I didn't.
Desert cold is different. Than,
It is. And I didn't mean to.
And I can tell you that.
Well, yeah, Brian knows it.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to derail you, Matt, but I was just trying to get to that October out here traditionally is a good wedding month. So
Yeah.
That might be something
And-
we're catching on to as well.
it could be picking
Matt,
it up.
Not to mention
Matt's
beating the
comment
heat.
as well. Matt, I've never done this many Thursday weddings in my life as I have in 20
Thursdays. Wow.
I have.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
My Thursdays rivaled my Fridays and my Sundays. I bet you I did more. And I actually couldn't believe it. But to what you said, people are looking for that alternative to save a couple of dollars, and they're trying to find a place to put their weddings. And last month in August, I did like 3 or 4. No, I did 3 in August, and I did 3 Thursdays in September. Like,
Yeah.
how?
Wow.
We've got to do that topic. That's probably a great, Howie, make a note. That's a great hanging with Howie topic. Do you charge different prices Monday to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Because a lot of companies do now. So that might be a great topic on Howie's show. Are you charging a different price for those midweek weddings? Because if you're doing 4 or 5 Thursday weddings, there's a point where it becomes a Friday or a Saturday to you.
Mm.
If it's in demand, it's in demand.
Well,
I mean, hotels charge more.
It's still time away from your family.
100%.
So, there you go.
Yep.
100%. So, Matt, I interrupted you again. I apologize. The part of the question I really want to focus on too is, where are you on end of year purchasing? Is that on your label? Is this something you're going to do? Or are you just kind of like, I'm good with all my gear, I'm already ready for 2024?
So earlier,
you know, it's funny you say that, Matt. Because no, I'm sorry.
I feel like the SNL skit "What's Up with That," where Kenan Thompson hosts and he has Lindsey Buckingham on as a guest every week, and then never gets to him.
Have you seen the one where Lindsay's actually on it though?
Oh yeah,
up on YouTube. It's hysterical. Lindsay actually comes in with Bill Hader doing Lindsay and acts the same way as Bill Hader. It's actually really fun.
All right. Well, that time I derailed myself. But earlier this year, I did buy, I bought pretty much an all new everything. So as far as that goes, I don't have any major purchases. Yeah, sorry I didn't know you at the time, Jay. I might have a lot more things with a logo that starts with a P on them around here, but
it's all, you use the gear you use to the best of your ability, and it's not about manufacturer, it's about your ability and the fact that you're obviously not a professional. So anyway, Howie,
hold on though. I was going to say I'm in the market currently for a projector because I have a wedding coming up where I did sell a monogram. So, I have access to projectors, but you
don't want to do like a projector light.
So it's either going to be a video projector or a gobo. So that's what I'm weighing that, and then I'm weighing which one I want to do. And
let me give you a quick advice. Years ago, and I'm going to credit. I know DJ Mikey Mike is here, but it's not that Mikey Mike. It's another Mikey Mike.
Right.
And the thing he gave me was, you should get this. And I bought the 80J Icon Profile Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Little box AD. Looks like a mini Source 4. It's a gobo light. Comes with like one glass gobo and I think 3 or 4 other gobos.
Mm-hmm.
And another DJ in Texas, Curtis. Is it Brown?
I can't remember Kurt's last name.
Yeah, he bought 2 of them and put that filigree behind the bride and groom's table once, and it looked amazing.
Yeah.
But Mikey said you call Ben Stowe at NLFX Pro, and you buy every letter of the alphabet as a gobo. And then when you get a wedding where they didn't want a gobo, they walk in the room and you have their last name as a gobo on the wall. And when they say, "What's that?" you say, "Oh, it's just a little thing that, as a thank you for hiring me, I just wanted to put your last name's initial on the wall." And the light costs about $300. And every letter of the alphabet would probably cost you about $110.
Yeah.
And the tip alone from the first wedding will wipe out half of it. And it just becomes a thing you can offer to set yourself apart in your market space. So as much as a 5,000 lumen projector is cool, unless you're going to start doing a lot of video montage and corporate events like that, or do moving gobos, sometimes standard LED light on a stand with a gobo initial on the wall can have a big impact. I know it's not in style according to some Jersey DJs and all that. See where they're coming from.
Don't worry about all that, but
well, they're all going to moving gobos, and I get it. They're a really cool effect. It's very Disney. It's very high tech, but you know what? Sometimes people want the old school letter jacket. They want the old school. That's the first initial of my last name on the wall. So don't overthink the process. Don't get out of your head on it. But cost wise, I guarantee the projector is more money than the light.
Oh, for sure. And this is definitely something we can take, after the show too. But some of my thoughts around it too is I do host karaoke, and I currently don't bring my own monitor for that. So if I had a projector, that's another use for it.
Yeah.
And then also, you know, I can get on Canva or one of those type services and whip up and make that thing look as custom as I want it to, first names and last names or whatever kind of design. So that's a lot of the decision making. And then I'm not having to order or remember to order a custom gobo every time if it's something they want outside of the one letter.
Yeah, no. And I'm a huge fan because my training came from boats. So I was in the water. So if something went south, there was no way around it. So getting a projector is a great idea as long as you're prepared to, if it goes out in the middle of it, to change the bulb out.
That lamp,
you know, and then you're okay. Yeah. But the other side of it is it's not a huge cost on a light, and it becomes a spotlight for the cake table if they don't want a gobo. And you know, you can gel it. You can do a couple different things. I'm going to keep the Howie in a different realm because Howie has, as many of you may or may not know, is more or less retired from kind of actively DJing. He's got particular clients he still likes working with. He does a bunch of park parties. So it's not going to make sense to say to Howie, is this year different from last year when, you know, Howie's not doing that. So instead, what I would like to do is kind of tap into the genius that is Howie and switch the question up only for him.
Wait a minute.
Howie.
It is 9:51 and you're just getting to Howie? How long was your intro?
Best for last.
Oh my God.
We did record roundup. We did record roundup.
Wow. Okay. No, let's go. Go ahead.
Well, because after Howie is me and then the show's over.
Right.
20 minutes ago, he said, we're going to Howie. And then, I don't know, something happened.
Something happened.
I forget what I was thinking 20 minutes ago.
Well, that's and that surprises you. Come on, you're lucky. You know you're even on air. Come on, let's not go down that road, Howie. By the way, I'm Jay. We've met before. Because of your expertise, and I'm living proof of it. My light show is a Howie Darkstar approved light show that you helped me design. I take that back. That you designed that I use. I'd rather hear from you because you have a good eye for this. Have you seen lighting trends this year that we should know about that you think are here to stay?
In my personal opinion, for a mobile DJ, do not buy those $3,000-$4,000 lights that have automatic zoom and 2 prisms inside and all that. It's not necessary to have an effective, light show. And you can literally, just have 2 on top of totems for the spotlight grand entrance, the first dances. And then, like what you do, Jay, that crisscross over the top of the cake.
That figure 8 is still amazing.
Yeah, that they love. The people love that. You can do that with, I know people that have bought the top of the line and then they're hitting the dimmer on it and bringing it back down because it's too bright.
Yeah.
And I don't know. For me, 25 watt 80J light, is just fine. I mean, we did a big room when Jimmy was still around, and they're fantastic lights. If you want to get something brighter, that's great. If you need it, for larger productions, let's say a gymnasium or whatever, then sure, go up to 75 watts. I wouldn't go over 75 watts unless you're doing stuff like Eric is doing with the big outdoor, festivals and where the hockey rinks where we're, way up in the rafters and we've got to be able to pinpoint the arena. For the common man like us, I think you're going to be fine at anywhere between 25, 75 watt.
Okay.
As far as the differences, the difference from 2022 to 2023 has been the tutoring. That caught on, so I'm happy with that, and I'm able to do that here. And the summer was a good summer, thanks to Brian, that I got those smaller speakers. And they were happy with it because it was a gathering of people for all the events, whether it was civic or, corporate or whatever, their summer party. They wanted to talk, and, I put up my humble little system and, that small sub, and I was fine with it. So as far as looking for new gear, which was the third part of your question, is I'm going to wait till Christmas and get myself another iPad, because the 7th generation one that I have here is, I have to plug it in all the time. When I close the cover, it doesn't shut off. It's supposed to shut off and maintain. So that tells me that this is prone to failure. And if I can get another one for $200 around Christmas time, which will be the 10th generation, I'm going to do it. And
nice.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I don't blame you. We started actually about, what we start, 5 after, Howie?
10 after.
10 after. Okay, so we're actually good on time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go now, and then I'll turn it over to Brian so he can do record and give his thoughts on things, if that works for you, Brian.
I don't care what you want to do.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean, you can just, no, that's fine. I'm here. And
do you know what I'm saying? Because then
I just
it works out. No. But then you get to close the show out.
Well, I can.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing this tonight.
I'm just trying to put it all into a little.
I'll be brief. Okay, and I'll try to. What I like to do when I'm doing like seminars and stuff, is if I can, I like to dismiss the class early, give an extra 10 minutes to go to the bathroom and stuff for the next class.
I just didn't want to go over because we lose some of the audience on podcast, I guess, when we break. So I'm conscious. I'm constantly, like, when you said that, I'm like, oh, now we're at 7:57 on my time live. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to make sure we didn't break over the 60, so we didn't lose anything.
You're eating into my time.
Well, not really. I'm technically eating into my time.
Zip it. Okay.
No, I'm supposed to be talking. You aren't closing yet. I haven't gone yet. That's what I said.
Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
Then you go.
Go ahead.
Wow. Give an answer.
So, Jay, how was your year?
Well, it was quieter than last year. The numbers were down. Everyone I know, I probably know 3 guys that went out of business last year because of venue closures in my area. So they were kind of forced to start issuing a ton of refunds, and they couldn't catch up with it. And they just determined, you know what, I'm going to try something else. I've done this for 10, 15, 20 years. Maybe the writing's on the wall, whatever. But I am markedly, last year was one of my best years, and this year is not. So at least personally, it's starting to all come back, but it wasn't what it was. And I think that's, like I said, that's true in my market. When I talk to guys, and Matt brought up an interesting point about, this DJ is busy, this one's busy. I know guys that I see on Instagram that are constantly posting. And then when you kind of dig in a little bit, you find out, they did 4 weddings last month, but they looked busy because they were posting the weddings twice a week. So you're like, wow, this guy's constantly at weddings. You start looking at dates and you start looking at what the posts were, and you realize, oh, wait, that's only 3 or 4 weddings last month they did, but it looks like 8 to 10 weddings. So that's kind of my little buyer beware statement. This year, October's good, as it usually is. November's quiet, which is fine. December is actually starting to pick up with corporate events, which is great. And as John said, the Harvest of Sound show, as it stands right now, I think I'm at 98% that I will be attending that. So I'm waiting on that 2%. every year it's funny with me because I'm in such a special position for gear, but I still look forward. A few years ago, I got the EV Evolve 50s on Brian's recommendation and spoke with Mike from EV and got them and have never looked back. I still think they're one of the best speakers I've ever used. I've got 3 sets of speakers that I run with. I run with Pioneer DJ Express, Evolve EV 50s, or the EV Evolve 50s, and the JBL PRX 615s. And I use them depending on the gig. I did a wedding this past Saturday where I used 2 10-inch tops. The 10-inch tops, the volume was set master and channel at 1 p.m. or 1 o'clock. The board on the channel was at 1 yellow light, so probably at 5. The master was 2 green lights, and I was asked to turn down once. And it was a real eye-opener. I'm like, I'm barely pushing any of this sound. I'm not turned up. I'm not pushing it. And yet it was too loud for the venue. And it really opened my eyes to, I think we oftentimes think, and I blame the internet for this, and I blame the DJ market for this. Oh, you can't do a big gig with those speakers. You can't do this with those. You know what? The more I'm a DJ, the more I realize no one is at my gig. The internet doesn't show up when I do a wedding. I do. And all the voices of reason from North Carolina and New Jersey and Boston and New York, they're not there either. And you know what? Don't trust everything you see. Trust it if you know the guy's legit, but don't trust everything you see. I look at a lot of DJs that are bigger than me, that are doing big gigs, and I look at what they use for gear, and I think, what do I want to buy at the end of the year? And I'm going to be honest, there's really nothing. I haven't seen a breakout product this year that has made me think, I got to buy that. That's what I want. I want those special tube lights, or I want that special this or that, I mean, I think everyone realizes that I am a active contractor with Pioneer DJ. Obviously, the gear I use is Pioneer DJ, and I'm grateful that I have the Rev 5 here. It's not even out in the streets yet, and I've had it in my office since July. So gear-wise, I don't really think that way, but I think lighting a lot. I think, are there any new trends? Is there a new trend I need to get in? I haven't seen anything this year. I haven't seen
light tubes,
but the tubes have been around for a couple of years, Aaron, and they really haven't knocked my socks off. And we've got a buddy in here, who has them and loves them, and I've seen videos, and it's not enough of a reaction. He did a wedding this past Saturday where he laid down his uplights, which I did about a year and a half ago, and I thought it looked great then, and I thought Buddy's looked great. Well, those are uplights pointed down on the floor. They're not tubes. So that's another example of me thinking I don't really need the tubes. This will shock all of you. I looked at cold sparklers. I was offered a deal on cold sparks, but I'm in Southern California where we have wildfires. I know they're not incendiary. Yeah. I know there's no pyro, but I also know that I might have a guest at a wedding who lost their house in a wildfire and sees sparks goes up and freaks out. I mean, if you're in the Rhode Island area, there was the station fire 21 years ago, 22 years ago. 109 people died based on sparkler effect. Yep. And you got to stop and think, it looks good with low-lying fog and everything else, but is it worth a purchase? So I haven't seen anything really new. I've seen some great lights from Color Key come out. I've seen some other lights from Chauvet and American DJ come out that I'm impressed with. I can tell you right now, the Element line. Is it Element? What's the Eliminator? I'm sorry?
Eliminator.
The Eliminator line. I was fortunate enough a couple weeks ago in New York City to see a road show from American DJ. And if you want some legitimate moving heads that are insane, I would look at those, because we're talking like 9 degree to 40, which is a beam of light to lighting up an entire floor. Just cool. So impressive. So impressive. But it's going to be interesting to see how the year ends. You know, Aaron, we were talking earlier about manufacturing and stock and everything else. Well, guess what? We still have another 3 months for gear to come out. And then January marks NAMM. And NAMM is famous for gear launches. So I won't be surprised if you see new gear come out in the next 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
And I guarantee you'll see gear come out in January. And that'll lead us into the February show in Las Vegas. So it'll be interesting. That's my 2 cents. Mr. Red, what do you got for us?
Thanks for 5 minutes. I appreciate it. I'm glad I rushed home for this. So first of all, I'll just do this real quick. I was thinking about artists that
I'm
have been
billing
active
him, by the way, for this.
my entire life. Okay. So meaning since I can remember as a child who I've been hearing on the radio, who's been active and who's still active right now. There aren't too many, really. I mean, there's some, but not too many. Phil Collins just retired. Not that I was hearing early Genesis on the radio as a child, but he was doing stuff when I was born. What do you got? McCartney, Ringo Starr. You've got Jagger and Richards, Keith Richards from Stones. They're still doing their thing.
Paul Simon,
Eric Clapton, Paul Simon. But I don't really hear a lot about Paul Simon now. He's alive.
He's put out a new album, literally 2 or 3 months ago.
As interesting as that is, I haven't heard it. But I tell you what, I have heard.
Really good.
I've heard this guy who is also Matt's pick, Mr. Elton John.
He just retired from touring.
Yeah.
He just retired from touring, but I'm not convinced he's done with recording. He
said he'll still record.
He did the Dua Lipa project. He just isn't going to tour anymore, but he's still out there. And this is the greatest hits. This is a good place to start with Elton John. He has, I believe, 3 greatest hits albums, 1, 2, and 3. 2's good too. I don't have a copy of it back here. I don't think of 2, but I like 2. He's golfing. He's miniature golfing on 2, I think. But I like that album as well. Anyway, not a lot of time to talk about Elton John today because we got to talk about the other topics that Jay brought up tonight, which is 2023 gear, gigs. What's up? Well, I'm doing different stuff this year because I'm doing club stuff. So I've really gigged more this year than I have in the past several. And I will say this about mobile events. And I've realized this last month, especially, although I'm not doing as many wedding receptions, I can't imagine doing more than I'm already doing because my clientele does not want the McWedding, which I think a lot of the busy DJs are doing. They're doing the same wedding every week. That's how they can keep it straight. I'm not doing that. I'm doing full custom jobs. I'm holding these people's hands. I'm having meetings. I'm going back and forth and trying to custom design this stuff and get their vision realized on a date. And I don't believe it's realistic to do more than a couple weddings a month. I doing them every week or several a week. I mean, maybe it's a young man's game. Maybe you're doing a different kind of performance than I am. Maybe you're doing a different kind of organization thing than I am. I don't think any app or any service is going to make this any easier because it's about counsel and it's about meetings and it's about bouncing ideas back and forth. They got to think about it for a while. You got to coordinate with, I've had to coordinate with halls. I've had to coordinate with caterers, photographers, videographers, and other entertainment. And this is just in the last month. So, geez, as far as the weddings go, no, I haven't done a lot of weddings. I haven't hustled it, but I'm glad I haven't because, man, if I had to do a wedding every week, it about killed me as it is. Yeah. I'm cool with a couple weddings a month. And by the way, speaking of the busy season, you guys mentioned October. I've made a joke that I'm the fall guy when it comes to DJing. Yeah. For some reason, I'm always DJing in the fall and I'm busy in the fall.
Yeah.
And I have 2 in October that I'm doing and I'm planning right now. And 2 is enough. I've got about a week and a half to wrap up the one I got going on the 6th. I'm about done with it. I just got to button some things up. Got one on the 21st I've got to do, but that'll consume my time. In the meantime, I'm doing club stuff. So, as far as the gear goes, now I do need another mixer because I've only got one mixer to go between my mobile rack, which has wireless microphone capabilities and such that I need for wedding receptions, and my club rack, which is the right size and footprint for the club. So I can't use the same rack for both events. I could, but it would be heavy for club, and yeah, I don't know. It's a consideration because I don't know what else to do, but I might have to get another mixing board here pretty soon, just so because I'm literally hot swapping these things every night. I got home from my gig on Friday, which was at the club, and oddly enough, my wedding client was having the rehearsal dinner there and a rehearsal party there, so I was actually DJing for my Saturday wedding client on Friday at the club.
That's cool.
And by the way, I've still got Fisher losing it like on loop in my head. It won't go away after this wedding. It was an EDM wedding. So, but when I got home, I had to swap the mixer like in the dark on the tailgate of the truck from the club rack to the mobile rack. And I'm not going to have to swap it again until May. I'm off this weekend. So the week after this one, I've got a Friday wedding, so I don't got to swap it. I can leave it in the case, but then I got to hot swap it when I get back from that wedding because I'll be doing the club Saturday. That's life with that. Otherwise, I'm good, man. Things work and things look good. Things sound good. I'm cool. So that's what I have. And we're timed. Look, I did it.
All right.
Yeah, I think we're there.
Out. Sign us off then, brother.
Well, we'll sign us off. Thanks, Jay, for stepping in. And it was fun to tease you a little bit. It's always fun coming in. So a little bit on that one. I had to take some time, some personal time with the kid tonight. That was really nice. And I'm really glad I had that opportunity. When they come up, you got to take them, man. And by the way, your kids are not just your kids when they're tiny. They're your kids when they're married and out of the house. They're still your kids and you got to do stuff with them. So that's what I did tonight. Absolutely. Oppenheimer. 3 hours long. Wow. That was epic. But anyway, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much for tuning in.